All right.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. I am Kiki Lovelace, and I am the owner and director of education here at Interstellar Pilates and Yoga Studio. I'm actually sitting here in the studio in the lobby. And I'm also the founder and lead business growth mentor at the Thriving Studio Owner Program. And I am so super excited for this graduate interview today. I get to interview Miss Teresa Ellis, who is just one of my dear clients. Teresa and I have actually known each other because we both live here in Oakland. And Teresa was coming to my yoga classes like years ago is when we first met, actually. But we also have some like social circle peeps in common, and on the dance scene that we've both been in for years. So I was absolutely thrilled when Teresa decided to come into my 12-week program. And Teresa just graduated last week. And to orient all of you guys like where we are, because all of you guys will be watching this interview after it's complete. And so we are now in month 5 of COVID.
5, about to start month 6. Yeah.
So and here in Northern California, like there's no signs of reopening our brick and mortars anytime soon. And I have a brick and mortar here in Berkeley. Teresa has one in her live workspace in Oakland, but like we're not opening. So Teresa and I, along with all the other like California folks, have really had to pivot and like hang out here in the pivot for quite some time. So Teresa, I want you to introduce yourself to my audience and just like tell them a bit about who you are, what you do, who you serve, because you have the most amazing niche and your people adore you. And that's just part of your magic medicine. So tell us all about it.
Well, I'm Teresa Ellis, and I am the owner of Pilates Bar and Jam, also called PB&J, here in Oakland, California. Who I serve, I call my clients the Strong Squad, because they're not just my clients. We're like a squad of strong humans. And I my studio is centered around Black, Brown, Indigenous, people of color. Also, we center fat folks, we center trans folks, and we center sex workers. So all of those folks are centered, and then everyone else comes around them. And it just makes for a better environment for me, because those are all of my people. Are fat, queer, trans, sex worker people are my people. And so I just want to be able to offer Pilates to them and movement. Yeah.
So amazing. Yes, I love it. And I know you came into, and one of the reasons I wanted to work with you, and like I was like energetically calling you in for probably a year or two before you actually even came in, was because of that, because I saw that you had such a clear and specific mission and such a clear and specific niche, which is something, as you know, I teach my people all about. I teach them how to niche down and be so specific about who they serve, the problems that they solve. And so I know that you actually came into the program with a very clear sense of self and a very clear sense of your brand. And yet last week, I think it was last week when we were talking, you shared this amazing story that was like, I don't know, I heard it as sort of like a confirmation yet again, like another confirmation from, a newer student who came to you that like, yes, you were on your soul aligned path. You were right on the right path. Can you share a little bit of that story with my peeps?
Yes. Well, which one? Well, I have so I offer a sponsorship program in addition to a pay what you can program. And so one of my Strong Squad members wrote me an email, and she was just like, I have found my body and my movement because of you, and I'm so thankful to you. And she's so sweet because she hangs out after class online in the Zoom, and she's always like, and I'm like, yes, do you have a question? She's like, I just want to say, and so she just shares like how she just feels so welcomed, and how she just loves everyone there, and how she's just getting more and more into her body. And she loves the one-on-one cueing. She loves it when I call her out. And she loves it when I'm like, fix that. Everyone fix all of the things. She goes, I feel so good, and I feel so seen when you do that. And it just makes me feel like I don't want to say have to, it makes me want to do better and be stronger in my body. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, and she wants to do better. And so she feels better because, we're all in the house right now. And so she's like, I haven't been able to really connect to myself as I have been since starting to take class with you. And that's just really, really sweet, and just speaks to volumes to what I am wanting to offer, and is exactly the reason why I teach, is so I could have people be present in their bodies. That's all I want.
Awesome.
The world
Amazing.
is a better place when people are present. It's a better place for me when people
Yes, seriously.
are present.
Well, I know, and I want to acknowledge, I was thinking about this as I was thinking about our interview today, that like, just like me, like you're so sensitive, you're very empathic, you're very sensitive to energy. And that's part of why you have this like very, very strong sense of heart behind your mission. But I also want to acknowledge that that is also why, to me, like as I've witnessed you in these last 3 months, is like, I want to support you in this, is like the only way for you to grow your business, continue to grow, because you've been growing it really well, but like, is so when it feels right to you. Because if it doesn't feel right to you, if it doesn't feel pleasurable and for you, like fun and easy, then you're not going to do it. And that's how I am too. Like, I actually just don't do it if it doesn't feel fun or pleasurable or easy.
Wow.
And so it's been so fun to get to, in a way, like help you give yourself permission to like really just embrace that. And so one of the things that one of the systems I've seen you implement, even in these last couple of weeks, is this new social media, like consistent social media strategy that looks like it's fun for you. Can you tell me about how it's felt and what you're doing right now with your social media?
Yeah, so during this process of me joining the Thriving Studio Owners, I've been working with someone on my logo for like 2 years, it seemed like. And she would be like, I'm doing it. And I'd be like, great. And then she would be like, I got it. And I wouldn't hear from her for like 6 months. And then finally she's like, it's done. And then she gave me this whole like, folder of the logo. And so when the thing came along for you to be like, just do the little things. And I was like, I don't know what to do, because I used to be able to post all the time. And then I just got tired of posting about me. And I wanted to post the squad. And because I was posting the squad and showing them, because they're all different bodies doing what the status quo is doing as well, to see these bigger bodies killing it on reformers and Matt, doing beautiful things. I really wanted to have it so they could see. And so then I decided to do what you suggested, which is take their testimonials and screenshot them and do the testimonials. So I could have them and write a little story. But then I realized that my graphic designer made a little background for me with my logo on it, so I could put the little text in there and make it pretty. And I was like, oh. And so now it's less tedious. I'm like, oh, so I'm going back into all of my old emails and stuff that my clients have given me to share and be like, oh, well, this is what I can do. And it feels so nice. And the little call to actions of like, what's your favorite exercise? Or what do you think about this? And people are like, oh my gosh. I'm like, wow, it works. Instead of just like posting, this is me doing whatever. Like when you're like, what do you think about this? And people will tell you what they think. And I really appreciate that. And it's much more engaging, because I want to be able to have a connection with the peoples and not just be like, this is me just doing the thing. I want to be able to get the response and the call and response from them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really important, especially for those of us who are sort of like Pilates and yoga artists, like we're really here just because we want to help people and we want to be of service and we want to use our natural gifts, and I think for many of us, we have a lot of blockages around marketing for that exact reason. Like, we don't want it to be like all about us. That I don't have a problem about this in my own marketing, but I'm like, it's about me. So just like, let me tell you all about me. But no, I really do feel that always what I want to help my mentees with is like, how can we make this easy and fun for you? Like, how can we remove the blockages and the resistance and just go for ease and fun? And I love that you found this doorway of like, oh, well, I can't take videos of people because they're not in my space right now, but here's a way I could share the energy of my strong squad and really inspire others who are, you know, the lurkers on your Instagram to go, oh, that looks interesting. I want to try that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and and it's made it a little bit more fun for me because now it's like, oh, I could do a thing and I don't have to make it so it's just this big like to do, because before I would do like videos or whatever, and I don't have time to do a video and take me an hour for I did something for 10 seconds. Like, really? Like, no. And then you have to keep redoing it. And before I would just do a fitness in one take. And I was like, if I just messed up, I don't care. I'm human. Just because I'm a teacher doesn't mean that I can do everything perfectly, because I can't. You know, there's some moves I cannot do. And I'm okay with that. I'm confident in the fact that I can't do it. So yeah. So now like post everything all the time feels really nice. And that I can just do one a day and just be done, and not like 6 a day.
Yes. And the one a day thing is magical, like, because it actually is very freeing when you start to have these little systems of like, okay, 2 or 3 times a week, I'm going to do these like screenshots and these client, you know, stories, and like just having one a day and posting it across all your channels. It just starts to take sort of the mystery and the resistance and the struggle and the drama out of marketing yourself and marketing your brand, you know? And so, yeah, it's so fun to see you that. And I know that this is something you've shared with me for months now, is that like systems is one of your challenges. And I actually feel like it's more in your head a challenge than it is anything else. But can you tell us, like, when you came into the Thriving Studio Owner program, you had actually had like an amazing month of sales, like surprisingly, because we're in COVID, but like that actually the online has been a really good thing for your sales and for your attendance. But you were also feeling like, I need some support to sort of ground this new reality into something sustainable. And so can you just give us a window into like, what did you see back then were the challenges, and what made you want to decide to get some support on that?
Well, you know, when I started the business 3 years ago, when I opened the studio 3 years ago, I just opened because a friend said, you have the space, just open. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did. Even though I was still working all of my corporate fitness jobs and doing everything else, I had a studio at the same time. And when COVID hit and everything went online, like my corporate jobs, like I was in the house all the time now. And I was like, oh. And then I realized that because of this pivot, I don't know what it is about this pandemic, but you get to see all the, can I curse? All the shit that you've been avoiding just comes up, and you're just like, oh. I was like, I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get to all of these places, but now I'm in one spot and this thing is glaring at me, being like, you need to fix this and you need to build this and you need to like hone this skill over here. And that's when I decided, oh, I cannot move forward because now it's a new medium in terms of online, that I need to be a little bit more like, because now I can do more people instead of 5 people in the studio. I could do, like this morning I had 16 people in my 6:30 a.m. class. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, like what's the system to hold all these people and to continue to have everything be copacetic for them? And that's when I realized that my business is lacking in the show is amazing and beautiful. Like I'm good at what I do, but then you look behind the curtain, you're like, ooh, she needs to dust.
Totally.
I was like, I need to dust. And so I was like, maybe I should hire a coach. And then that's when I think I saw one of your posts and I was like, you know, I've been part of the one group of a group that you had. And then I was like, why not? I'm not doing anything anyway. Like the time is going to go by. What I thought was going to be, and that was like, I joined in May. And that's when I realized that we were going to be doing this for a while, when 3 weeks went by and, you know, everything was still closed. And I was like, oh, this is going to happen. So this is a perfect time for me to be home to actually do the things. And so I just took the time because I was not running around to actually focus on my business exactly how I wanted it to be. So I didn't have to work for anyone else anymore.
Totally, totally. And one of the systems that we sort of, you and I were working on together and sort of riffing off each other was this really cool payment offering that you've designed of sponsorships funneling into a pay what you can, which I know really aligns with your values and the ways that you want to show up in the world and support people in your community who might not otherwise be able to afford these Bay Area prices that we all are charging. And so can you tell our people a little bit about how you've decided to systematize that piece and how it's working so far?
Yes. Well, when I first opened the studio, I've always wanted, like, people would be like, well, I don't want to technically take class, but can I like buy classes and donate them? And I was like, yes. And so people would buy classes and donate them, and I would give them away to people. But then for some odd reason, when all of this happened, I've got an influx of donations of monies. And I was like, oh, I can actually do the sponsorship program exactly the way I want it to. And so now I had 31 1 month long unlimited sponsorships to give away. And so I just put it out there and said, fill out this Google form, and people would fill it out. And then I would say, okay, then they would start to come. And then as their month ended, I'd send them an email and I'm like, okay, well, I would love for you to continue. And they're like, but I can't because I have no job. I'm like, well, guess what? I have the Pay What You Can program, and here's the link. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yes. And one person was like, you're lying to me. I was like, no. She goes, really? I go, if you're going to pay me $1 consistently a month, you can take classes with me. She's like, really? I was like, yes. Like, it's, for me, it's not, I mean, the money, yes, I need to survive. Like, that's a given, but also my people can't survive if they're not feeling good in their bodies. Right. And so I really need my people to feel good, so we can like get through all of this and come out the other side stronger and more focused and more like, you know, whatever the word needs to be for each person. I can't think of the word right now, but you know, to feel more embodied in that as when we come out of this on the other side. And I don't want money to have to be a problem, because right now people are like, I'm not working and I'm barely paying my bills. I'm like, right. So what can, and I go and I say, be realistic with that. And they're like, okay. I'm like, you have to be realistic, because if you tell me that you can pay me $50 when you could only pay me 20, and you're struggling over here, and I would rather have you be realistic. And they're like, okay. I'm like, great. And so, but I still have my other clients who can afford the monthly and haven't batted an eye since we went from in-person to online, and have not said, stop my thing. Like, no one has said that. And so I'm like, okay. They're like, I'm going to keep paying for this until we're done. I was like, okay, great. So it's a nice little balance to have, and it feels more abundant in that, like, for me to give and to receive and then give back. I have to give back. Like, you can't just go and be fabulous without taking your people with you. At least that's how I feel.
I'm right there with you. And as you know, I also introduced a Pay What You Can offering earlier in the year. And to me, it's like, I think for a long time, my brain was making it an either or thing. Like, either I'm a donation studio or I'm a studio that can actually charge what I need to charge in order to pay my team and pay for my space and pay myself. And then in this last year or so, I've just been like, why can't I do both? There's plenty of people in our community that can pay these prices that we, especially here in the Bay Area, need to and want to charge for the value that we're offering. And also
Right.
to be able to have this incredible heart offering. And I love for you how it actually is it's like a pass through. It's like, you know, some of your clients who are more comfortable financially and want to do this are able to contribute to the fund, at least to get people started. You know, it's just like, there's something really beautiful about that, that way that everybody is supported, you
Yeah.
know, but by that offering. So yeah, that's been really fun to see you get clear on and like systematize. And now there's a clear funnel for that. That's
And
super
that
cool.
feels really, really nice. And then I feel like I'm not leaving anyone behind.
Yes, absolutely. And so, you know, one of the pieces that we do work on a lot in my program is like relationship to money, relationship to value, and really like claiming what you desire for your life, you know? And so can you give us a view into anything that shifted for you, just even in your mindset around those pieces in the last 3 months?
Yes, I have never looked at what I made on a monthly basis since I started this thing. Since I started my business, I never looked to be like, I would look sometimes when it was like when I had to do my taxes, I'd be like, oh, I made this much, like, okay. But I never was like, oh, what did I make last month? I had no idea. And then until you said, look and see what you made. And I was like, oh, in the first month of, you know, doing TSO, I made almost $10,000. And that was the most, I mean, in April I made 5,000, but then I made almost 10,000.
Oh no, you're paused again at the moment of truth. Shoot. Hopefully you'll come back. How? Are you there, Teresa? Can you hear me? I don't think I'm paused. Well, y'alls, if you can, what Teresa was about to tell you, and if she doesn't come back and tell us the story, is that, oh yeah, she left. She'll probably come back. But what she was about to tell you is that, yes, she went from $5,000 to a month of almost 10K in revenue, which is like a really huge deal, especially in this COVID land. And then she's actually had a couple of months of something like 7 or 8K. So she's hunting and stalking her first goal of 10K months, which is just super exciting for her. And also really exciting for her audience, you know, for her people. That just means that there's 10K worth of folks getting her unique medicine and magic and support.
Hi.
Yes, you're back. I just kept talking for you. I just kept telling people what was going on for you. And
Okay,
I was just celebrating your amazing financial results of the last few weeks, and I mean of the last few months, and just how not only do you get to benefit from that, but that just means like there's that many more people in your audience who are getting your medicine and who are really getting to experience what it's like to be in a safer space,
yes.
and a space where they will not be misgendered and they will not be shamed for their body and all the things that happen in you know what a typical more like white cisgendered wellness space. So super cool. So wait, so I want to back us up to the question, which was,
yes.
So you obviously had these amazing financial results, but what were the shifts internally that you experienced that were a part of that?
The shifts internally was, well, one of the things was it's not as hard as it looks like it can be. It's not as hard. You're like, oh, okay. I think it's more of just like, it's not hard. It's finding the time to do it. And that was the thing. I'd be like, oh, I got to do the thing. But my life was like full of so much stuff. And I was just like, but the system, the thing itself is not hard. And so that's the part. It's the whole like, do I want, you know, it comes down to this. Do I want to stay the same, or do I want to like be better? And so there's, because if you don't do it, the thing is, if you know that what you need to do and don't do it, you're choosing to just stay the same, right? Because once you know better, you have to do better. And so,
yes.
right?
Totally.
Right. And so my thing is now, like now that, and to be completely honest, and I didn't finish all the 12 weeks, and I'm okay with that. But now, because I'm like, oh, and I can look at it and be like, oh, I could do that. Like, and now I'm like, I felt like in the 12 weeks that I had to like rush. And I was like, no, but now it's okay. And I could actually look at it and like do the things and make it work for my brain. Cause I'm a weirdo. I'm a weirdo who thinks really weirdly. And
but the truth is, I want to tell you that like a lot of my graduates don't complete every single assignment and like implement every single strategy that I teach. And that's part of why you guys have lifetime access to it, is like, but that's just not, it's just for a lot of us, that's just not the time it takes. But the truth is, I love that you discovered that you don't have to do all the things to get incredibly mind-blowing results. Like if you just take day by day, just one inspired action after another, magical things start to happen. And it actually isn't that hard. It's not as hard as it's made out to be, but you do have to be in action. You have to be, and the action sometimes is more external, like we've been talking about. But also I want to highlight and like really elevate this piece is that when we talked last week on our last call, you were telling me that one of your takeaways was like having Mondays be like a lie on the beanbag rest day. And to me, that's one of the inspired actions, is like prioritizing rest. So can we just pause and talk about that for a sec? Like, tell me about your discoveries about resting.
Because I'm always trying to find time to rest. Like, I'm always like, okay, I'm between classes, just sit down. I'm doing this, just sit down, just have a moment. Like, I am a person that's like, you should do. I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit and just zone out for a second and just, do whatever, nothing. So when we were on the call and when someone said, oh, but you can also just rest. And I was like, what? I can just rest. And I literally immediately that next week, I teach 2 classes on Mondays. I teach a 6:30 a.m. and a 6:30 p.m. But between 7:30 a.m. and 6 p.m., I do nothing. I do nothing. So I might like go and run an errand. Like, it's just all my time to do all of the things that are just for me and nothing else. And then I just sit, but most of the time I just sit down and I take a nap and I just slept. So that first Monday that I took off, there's a beanbag right here. Me and the dog laid in the beanbag for like 11 hours. Like, I slept, I was like, and it was like guilt free. And then when Tuesday came, I was like, oh, I could do all the things. And I knew that I had to do the things. I'm like, oh, but I'll do it on Tuesday. I'll do it on Tuesday, because Tuesday is a work day. Like, I have clients, I just have to do the things. Like, I'm in the workflow, but I needed a Monday because I don't really have a weekend. I just have Sundays off.
Right.
And so it's just nice to be like, still have that Monday, even though it has 2 hours on either end as a bookend, but to have that time in the middle where it's just mine is lovely. And just to take that for myself is really, really good. And like, this weekend's my birthday, and I am taking, after tomorrow at noon, I have nothing planned until Monday morning again.
That
I have
is
4 days to myself because I don't have a staff, right? So I'm just a solopreneur doing everything on my own. And so it's just really nice to be like, I'm taking the time, and my clients are like, thank you so much. Please take the time. So it's been really, really great.
Yeah. I mean, that lesson of like sacred rest, and also I feel like you're not the only one of my graduates who's told me that. Like, I'm thinking about Jay, who, was in the program with you for many of Jay's months. And Jay was telling me that like, she feels like one of the gifts she got from the program is she doesn't feel guilty now when she takes time off of work, and she sees the value of like literally just going, no, I'm not going to look at email. I'm not going to do that now. This day is about my family, or this day is about a hike, or it's just different, or taking a nap in the beanbag. So yeah, I think for a lot of us, we've been fed this story that hard work is the only path to success. And we, owner operators, like, we take that. That's like our pledge, our life pledge, And so to learn that like, actually, hard work can get you so far, but like at a certain point, there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only one of you. And so you have to learn how to create a sense of wealth of clients, of wealth of income, without working 7 days a week,
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the day, because you kept telling, you need to hire someone. And I'm like, and I know eventually that time is coming, but I look forward to when I can hire my first teacher to take over like a Monday, and I could actually have Monday with nothing, like, I'm really looking forward to that. I know it's not anytime in the super near future, like not next week or next month or in the next 3 months, but I can see it, and it makes me want to vomit. And it makes me excited because I really, whoever comes onto my team, if I start to build a team, my team needs to be really, really, really badass in regards to my people, you know,
Yes.
because they cannot, like, they can be saucy and sassy, but they also have to be knowledgeable and compassionate and
Yes.
loving and nurturing, because like my people are, they're kind of spoiled.
Being in your loving arms all the time.
They
Yes.
really are.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, when we were talking about your team right now as a solopreneur, the only team members as a solopreneur that you really need is maybe like an operations customer service support, maybe a social media manager eventually if you don't feel like doing all this stuff all the time. Eventually if you wanted to have like a Facebook ad strategist, but that's like kind of all you need. But I know what you mean, like as a studio owner, even an online studio owner, when you are actually doing the delivery of all the sessions, yeah, to bring in one or two like really like soul aligned team members, like people who they've got the chops and they also are just really aligned with your mission and your people. Yeah, that could be a great thing, for your freedom and for your expansion as well, but yeah, so you said that was a little further in the future. So I want to just ask you one more thing. So what do you feel like more immediately, what do you feel like are your next steps for growth or continued step for growth? Obviously the Monday's resting is a continued step for growth.
Yes.
What else do you feel like you want to keep going with or maybe add into the mix in the next like
I'm
month or
gonna
two?
continue with I'm trying to do at least 4 days a week of the social media thing. I really hate sending out emails. So the newsletter is like that. The moment I say I'm going to do it to when I send it out, it takes 4 days. And
Which is why you need to hire someone to do that for you. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
which is why I'm like, I need to narrow that down. And I need to do my target market research. So that's something I need to do. But I'm also just looking into like creating, my whole thing is community, right? Like I really, really love my peoples to love on each other in addition to loving on me. Like I want them to love on each other, which is what I cultivated when they were in studio. And so I really am trying to figure out how in COVID and when COVID is done, how to bring everyone together. But right now it's more of like doing my target market research, and I do silly little game nights like once every 2 months with my people, which it just keeps us together and it's just really, really great. And it just makes it weird and fun and just a time to just not think. But also I just love just hanging out with my people, right? Because I feel like the connection is bigger than just fitness. But for me, in terms of the system, I really want to really be open to the flow of receiving, right? Of receiving and just not being afraid to receive and, and not have to, I want to be able to work hard, like the hard work has been done, but I want the hard work to just be able to manifest in a way that it is now, the wheel is turning and it's continuing to turn. It's like one of those well things, that big wheel that picks up the water and takes the water and puts it in like I want to be able to get the water and redistribute it and just take it as it comes and just have it always be coming and in that flow. Because I'm feeling like I'm in the flow and I know that there's a lot of things that I need to release that I'm still holding on to. And so I think it's a lot of, and I have a big mindset mind, but I think with you, money stuff for me is really huge. And so I have to just let go of all the money fears because I feel like that is also going to stop me.
Yes. Yes. And I was getting a picture as you were talking about that of like, I think like there's a few things when you're like, you're cresting sort of right now where you're just like, oh my God, you're on the verge of your first 10K month. It's like, it's just right here for you. And I know you have even bigger goals than that. And they're totally tied into like your legacy for your son and for like really recouping, like you spent like all these decades, like doing this thing, and you're just like becoming more of who you are. And you're, you know, we call it your wiser self, you know? And so, yeah, I think there's a let go in a way of like the old patterns, the old mindsets as you're becoming this person.
Mhm.
And also I think for a lot of us, I don't know if this is true for you, but I got a flash of it, is like, it's actually in some ways more terrifying to be successful than it is to be a failure,
Yeah.
you know? And like, I think that's part of what a lot of us have to let go of, is like a fear of success, you
Yeah.
know, which is like spooky
Yeah.
territory. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have that fear, and I'm really, really doing my bestest to not sabotage it, because I can see how I can. And I'm like, don't do that. Like, I feel like I'm at the place now that if I sabotaged it now, people would be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I know, right? But if I would have sabotaged it months ago, no one would have noticed, right? And so it's in this place now where I'm not at the fork on the road. I'm on the right road. It's just more of like, okay, as a trailblazer, what does one do, right? Like, I know that this is a part of my way of existing, is that I blaze trails that no people have gone down. And so sometimes I'm just tired. And my arm is tired from, like, you know, blazing this trail. And I'm just like, I just want to sit down, you know, and why can't someone else blaze this trail so I can just walk down it? And so, but I, you know, I'm the one that's fearless, right? And so the thing is, I take risks because what else do I have to lose? My other option is I stay exactly where I am. And so that's the part of, like, just keep going. I was just sitting here the other day and I read a meme that said, you know, shout out to all the ones who have, who've created the lives that they needed without any kind of support, like from familiar support. And I sat there and I looked around and I was all, huh. I was like, I built this all by myself. And I was like, why am I tripping so hard? Like, I did this all by myself, right? And so I think that is what keeps me going, is I'm reminded that I did this. You did this all by yourself. There was no one to tell you no. Like, luckily I have people who enable me in the best way. But I did this. I built this on my own from scratch, out of my little house. And then eventually, if we come back into studio, I'll be able to financially rent a brick and mortar if it comes to that, or
If
not.
you want to.
If
Yeah,
I
if you
want
want
to.
to.
If I want to, right? Like, but I don't know if I want to. And so I just know that what I've built can be a thing, and that I don't want to say I have disciples. I have people believe in me. My clients believe in me, and they're getting the results from it. So I really feel like the mindset part of just reminding myself that I am capable of doing this, and watching other people trying to want to steal my stuff, not in a bad way, but like taking from me to monetize on their own thing, but
Yeah.
using my talents. And I'm like, wait a second. And just watching someone see my value that I don't see, that was a huge reminder during this time too, of like,
Yeah.
releasing some things like that. So yeah.
I just want to say, like, as you know, you were talking about like trailblazing and like this image of you, like, you know, with your axe and like cutting down and like blazing the trail. And then you had also spoken about like this new part of you that wants to really continue to learn how to open to receive, who I saw as like queen on the throne, you know, just like, and so I love the idea that you could be blazing a trail of what it is to be a successful human on like every level, but without burning yourself out. Like, that's the trail you're blazing.
Yeah.
You know, is like, yes, you can be abundantly successful, not just money wise, but also in your mission and like in your you called it, what did you call it one time? Your ministry,
Yes.
you know? So you're abundant in like money and ministry, but like also in not burning yourself out. That's the trail. It's like to blaze, that is so anti what we've been taught, and how we've been conditioned.
Yes. And the funny thing is, even though we're in a horrible pandemic and now it's fire season here in California, so we're never leaving the house.
Which is like a thing now, fire season. Insane. Yeah.
I know, right? I'm realizing that even though I've been inside these 5 months, I have not rested as much as I have in the last 5 months over the last like 5-10 years. I've done more resting and more reflecting and more internal work during this time frame than I ever have. And I'm just seeing where I want my life to be and where it can be. Like nothing is not attainable. And what I'm asking for is not a lot, right? I'm not trying to like have 6 houses. I just want to like have a beautiful, thriving business with people who want access to quality, amazing movement practice. And I want to be able to provide that for them.
Amazing. So can you just tell, I'm sure some of my people watching this actually want to work with you now. Can you please tell them where they could find out about your online services and how they could set up like a class with you or a session with you?
I am at pilatesbarandjams.com. Oh my God, do I know how to spell Pilates? PILATESBARRE and ANDJAMS.com. And also on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, I have the schedule on there. And yeah, we have classes right now 4 days a week. And we might be expanding more. I'm organically letting what I'm seeing happen in class determine what the offerings are going to be.
Yeah. So awesome. So awesome.
Great.
Well, and I want to say to my people who are watching this, if you do want to work with me as your mentor, it would be just such an honor to be able to shepherd you through this process. I mean, we work, as Teresa has kind of given you a view, on both the soul pieces and the strategy pieces, which to me are just all part of it. It's like I could teach you guys all just boring schmoring, strategies for this, that, and the other, which I actually really dig the strategies. But if it was just that and not these pieces about really becoming your future self and really like your big why of like why you're here to do this sacred ministry, to me, it's like, it's not even that interesting unless you tie that all in. So I'll put the link to our calendar down below. And if you'd like to learn more about it, you can schedule a friendly chat with me or one of my team members, and we can tell you more about it. And we can discover if it might be the right fit for you to come into the program like Teresa did 3 months ago. So thank you, Teresa. Thank you so much.
It was so fun. I
really
appreciate what you're offering. It's brilliant. And I got a lot out of it. And it's really, really, I can see where the destination, and I'm excited about the journey as well. Yeah.
Thank you, beloved. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.
You're recording now.
I am?
Yeah.
And we can trim it too. Let's see. Boop, boop. Yeah.
Yeah.